The Trudeau government announced a new effort at pay equity in the budget this week. The new policy aims to close the wage gap and ensure men and women are paid for the same job. Right now, a woman has to file a complaint if she feels she's not being paid the same. Joining us now to talk more about this equity is consultant Giselle Kovary, president of NGen People Performance. So Giselle, the first question is, does this plan go far enough?
I think that we always want to push the envelope further when we think about equity in any form. So I think it's a good start, but I think there's a lot more to do. And both in the private and the public sector, organizations are looking aggressively on the ways in which they can create an inclusive and diverse environment, but most importantly, that they can offer equity to everybody.
What are the big takeaways from the announcement that we heard from Bill Morneau?
I think the big takeaways are that they was really looking at this budget through a gender lens. I mean, that was coming out strong, that they really want to make sure that they're implementing policies and programs, and certainly from a federal budget perspective, spending money in a way that's going to drive that. But I think that certainly from my research around understanding younger Canadians, and Gen Zs in particular, that this is going to be a given in the future. Gen Zs, those are 22 years and younger, they're going to say this is an expectation that all of our employers offer pay equity and that we really are treating people equally regardless.
I was reading your study on them and the fact that this younger generation expects this will just happen and it just is what it is. But we know that that's not the case right now. And how difficult will it be for the government to implement these steps when it really requires business?
Unless there's, holding their fire to their feet, that's not going to happen. I think that private sector is looking to do this because it drives greater performance and productivity. Research has shown that if we have more diverse work environments, including gender, then we're going to have better results, that we're going to be able to drive to the outcomes that we want from a financial perspective. But the government's going to have to be able to have some meat to any of the policies they put forward, and it's not just sort of a nice to have, but it's a must have.
And what are the biggest obstacles that you see?
In gender equity or just equity in general? I
think
with
the plan and actually making it work and actually making the change.
I think any plan has to be able to, again, has to be implemented effectively and flawlessly. There has to be consequences if it's not implemented. And then I think most importantly, again, from my research, is being able to tell the messaging ongoing, a reason why we're doing this. Why do we understand the business case for equity? Why do we want to make sure that we have diversity and inclusion as a key driver and a pillar within the Canadian economy, and the ways in which we're all going to benefit from that? It's not just a nice to have, but we want to make sure that employees understand and that it doesn't become incumbent upon the women or those in minority groups in order to drive it, that the organizations are driving it themselves.
One thing that I kind of felt was missing from it was the how. How are we actually going to make this happen? It's nice to say we're going to do it, but how are we going to do it? And I don't know if you felt the same way.
I do, and I think in general, right, the government often lacks in the how. There's lots of great things that we can say, but where are we going to implement it? And I think we have to leave ourselves open to the fact that hopefully that comes. But it's a good first start, but there's going to be a lot more. And again, younger Canadians are just going to expect this. So workplaces that don't align to this, regardless if they're in the private or public sector, are going to have a really tough time recruiting and retaining.
Okay, Giselle Kovary, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Students at York